So hi guys, this is the part 3 of our e-commerce project in Django, and in this part we are going to work on our sessions for our cart app. And first, make sure that your virtual environment is activated and you are in your project directory. And first just run your server python manage.py run server and running your server. After running your server, copy the URL and paste it. Just refresh. So now we want to handle our sessions for our cart. So if you press Ctrl Shift and I, it will open a developer tool for you, and just change the view to this and move to your application. So whenever a new user goes to your site, a new user is assigned a session ID for uh, from a site. So we are going to utilize that session ID to handle our sessions. So by default, session model is installed in your Django project. If you go to your e-commerce project and in settings and in installed app, you will see django.contrib.sessions is automatically by default installed. So what we want is that when a new user come to our site, we want to save his or her session. uh, For example, if a new user come and select a product and add to cart it and go to the cart, and for some reason he don't want to proceed it to the payment uh, to the order and just go back to the site and uh, just explore our website and then just leave it, and when it come back we want to show him uh, his previously lived session where he selected a particular product and did not purchase it. So that's why we are going to use sessions, and we are going to handle sessions for our cart app. So to handle this, just go to your cart, and here first we are going to create a new file cart.py, and here we are going to create a class cart, and in that class first we want to initialize init, and it will take a self and request in parentheses, and after that we want to say that self dot session is equal to request dot session. So if a user is a returning user, we want to get the session key or session ID of that returning user. Uh, so we are going to utilize his previous session ID to show him the previously added products that he uh, when he visited first time to our site, and he added them into his cart. So for this we are going to say cart is equal to self dot session and dot get. So we are going to get his session key. You can call it anything. I'm going to call it session key. So after that If a user is a new user, we want to check that if requested in if a user is a new user, and so we want to check that if uh, session if our session key not in request dot sessions. So it will going to check that if a new user request from our for our URL for our website and there is no session key, we want to assign him an empty session key. So for this we are going to say that cart is equal to self dot session, and we are going to assign him an empty key by saying that session key is equal to an empty uh, words showing an error. So actually we have to use rectangular brackets here, and so that's it. And after that we are going to say that self dot cart is equal to cart. So because we want to access that cart on every template that we render. So here you can comment there that this logic is for if a user is a returning user, and this is for if a user is a new user. So that's it, and save it. And after that we to access that cart on every template we want to create a context processors .py file in our cart app. So as you remember that in our store app and in our views we have made our one view as context processor. These categories, you see it's not returning anything rendering any page. We are just accessing or viewing our categories from our database, and we want that category on every template that we visit. So for this, if you go to settings, we have mentioned in our context processors that we want to make our categories as a context processors so that it will available on every page that we visit. Like if you go to shirts, here you will see categories, and in cards here you will see categories. So to make it on every template we need to declare it in our context processors. So here in cart.py we want to make that class available on every template. So for this we are going to create context processors.py file. Just create it as context processors.py and make sure the spellings are the same as I entered, because if you go to settings and you will see that context processors spelling, and just open your settings, remain open it, and in that first we want to import our cart class from cart.py, and from .cart import cart, and after that define a function called which will take a request, and after that we want to return a context where we set a key card, and after colon we want to assign it to that card clause and it will take the request. So that's it, we have made our context processors and save it. And now to configure it in settings as we done for our categories view. So under that just tell Django that go to cart, and after that the context processors, and after that our cart function, and in front of it just comment that it's updated. So make sure to check the spellings context processors here, context processors.py, and in that we want to access that cart function. So that's it, we have uh, created our session for our cart app, and now we are going to test it. So we are going to test it in our PowerShell, in our Python shell, sorry, not Power, in our Python shell. So just first stop your, not just first stop your server, just run your server and refresh it. And if you clear your cookies here and pretend to be a new user, just refresh it, you will see a session ID here, and here just copy that session ID by double clicking and Control C and paste it anywhere you want. So paste it on sticky note or a notepad, and after that open your VS Code terminal and Control C to close your server, and after that we want to run our Python shell. To run it, Python manage.py and shell, and if you see that three angles, it means that your Python shell is activated. So first we want to import our session model from Django to dot contrib dot sessions dot models, and then import in capital S sessions, not sessions, only session, and after that, why it's showing an error, so we forgot to put at n at our country. So from django.contrib contrib sessions models import session. So after importing session, set a variable session key, you can call it anything, and here we want to get that session to get that session ID that we saved from our site. We are going to say that sessions dot objects dot get, and in parentheses we are going to set primary key equal to, and we want to save paste that key and close that parenthesis, and sessions is not defined, sorry, I put an S at the end in sessions, so just copy that and paste here, and not sessions, only session, and press enter. And after that we want to decode it by simply typing session underscore k dot get decoded. And after that you will see that as we set our logic here, that if a user is a new user, we want to assign him uh, an empty data. So that is what I want to test, that if our user is a new user, we want to get empty session key. So that's it. And now if you put uh, some data in it, like your favorite number will be 13 or 13, and save it, and just exit your shell and run your server. Control C, and again run it, and clear your cookie and refresh it, and copy that session ID and paste it here. And now if you open and close your shell and close your server and run your shell, and after that you can copy the above that from django.contrib, Control C, Control V, and just to remember that we have forgot that to put an N, and import O, and after importing a session model, just type it again from django.contrib.session.models import session, and after that set a session key, or just call it sk equal to session.objects.get, and we are going to set that primary key that we have copied. So if you go to your sticky notes, then copy this and paste it and close. So after assign it to sk variable, just enter, and then you want to decode it, so dot get decoded. So here you will see that the data that we have entered here is showing to us. So our testing is done. So in the next part we are going to uh, integrate ajax for our card. So that's it for this part, guys. If you like my videos, then subscribe my channel and press the bell icon. So that's it, guys.